It's always cute to see puppies shaking, rolling over, and then barking on command. But is this something that's really important and valuable to have this early in life? Well, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the importance of a solid, real foundation and why maybe these tricks you're teaching your dog at such a young age is actually going to be a bad thing that's going to come back to bite you later. Let's dive into it. All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Learn, Laugh, Bark podcast. I am your host, Jake from OnDogTrainingAcademy.com. OnDog is an online, right now, very course-driven place. We have our first course launching November 1st. However, you can pre-buy now for a bit of a discount. You will get 1 year access to this course, and you'll get access to a community where you'll be able to not only talk to us, but you'll be able to brag, post pictures, and get feedback, tips, advice, everything, and support from an awesome community of other people going through that course. So if that is something that interests you, jump over to the OnDogTrainingAcademy.com website, and you'll see our first course, which is called Welcome Home. This is for anyone who just is thinking about, or just wants to know more about getting a new dog. Not necessarily about buying the new dog and purchasing and what to look for, but when you've decided on that new dog, this is a course that's going to help you get set up and be prepared, because I promise you, you may think you're ready, but nobody's actually ready. And you typically realize this later on after you've had the puppy for a while. So we are here to just give you a heads up, give you information so that nothing comes off as a surprise to you, and you could be like, oh, OnDog told me about that. I'm ready for it. Let's go. So check out OnDogTrainingAcademy.com, and you can click on the courses thing, click on Welcome Home, and you will see there a description and all the stuff you need to know about that. Also, and I'll have a link to it also in the description of this podcast episode. Also, I'll have a link to a free handout that we are giving you that basically is a new dog or puppy shopping list. This will help you, again, get a head start on all the things you need and kind of keep you from buying all the stuff you don't need, because trust me, we spend a lot of money when puppies are coming over or coming into our houses. Let's make sure we're spending the right money for the right things. So you can definitely click on that. All you have to do is enter email, and we will email you over a PDF or downloadable PDF of a shopping list to really help you guys get a leg up on getting this new dog. And this isn't just puppies, like I said, new dog. So definitely helpful. Lastly, if you guys are looking to talk to me, you can find me on Facebook. It's a Learn, Laugh, Bark podcast on Facebook. I'll link that as well in the description. And for whatever reason, we are now on TikTok. So if you want to go see some goofy stuff, you can definitely, and I will attempt to link that as well. Instagram as well. So I guess we're kind of on a lot of social media platforms. The only one we're not on right now is Twitter, just because it's just too much. Let's just face it. Social media, it's a lot. So you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and on Facebook. And I think Facebook's probably right now the most active, but it doesn't matter. So if you have any ideas that you would like me to talk about for podcasts, definitely hit me up on the Facebook one. I have a thread started there. You can just comment in there what you would like me to talk about. I have a list of stuff to go through, but I always like to cover the things you guys want me to talk about. With that being said, let's dive into this week's discussion. And this week's discussion, like you heard in the intro, is the importance of a solid, real foundation. Now, the reason I say real is because I do feel like people do put foundations on their dogs. Every dog has a foundation of something. Okay, so a foundation doesn't necessarily mean you've done training. So you could tell me my dog has no foundation. Your dog does, but maybe it's not your cliche foundation of like sits down, stays, healing, whatever. But what I find is that there are cracks in the foundation that people are putting on these dogs. Because I think a lot of people understand early training is super important. It's the time that their brain, the puppy's brains, young dogs' brains are easily moldable, I guess you could say, and there's less things that are in the way of your training. Now, with this being said, if you have an older dog that doesn't have any training, you can certainly start to work on fixing or improving the foundation they have. It takes more time, but definitely is something you could push towards and continue towards. It's almost like a little bit beyond foundation. Now you're trying to say, okay, well, your foundation, and this is not an insult on you guys, but let's say you get a rescue dog who just has terrible manners and everything. Maybe the foundation sucks. The foundation sucks, and so we need to basically like put a new foundation down. It's a little bit harder because you're always going to have the dogs always fall back to their early learning, or a lot of times they do, or at least for a long time they do. So it'll take a lot of repetitions, but you can do it. I believe in you guys. So let's talk about what my opinion is a really important, solid, real foundation. It starts, I think, with your relationship with your dog. So making sure you're doing relationship building skills, playing, obedience training, focus work, all those type of things, I think is really good to set a really good foundation, a relationship or a bond. And you hear me talk about bonds a lot in these episodes, and that is because it is probably, in my opinion, single-handedly the most important thing that you can do for your dog, and that is to create a good bond, a good relationship where there's respect, there's love, there's all that stuff coming from both sides, not just you or your dog, but both of you love and respect each other to a point where you just flow, like you can communicate with each other really easily, and the dog's not being super naughty and you're being really fair with things. So that foundation, I think, is super important. However, there's more to it. I think sometimes people, in order to get that bond with their dog, they start to throw things out like tricks. Now, the reason tricks, I think, are so popular at a young age is because puppies can be difficult at times to train. They're less focused and everything, so teaching them to shake, that's a really popular one, or roll over, or bark, or whatever else you teach your dog. Those tricks are easy and they're fun, right? Teaching healing or sits or downs isn't necessarily fun to do, but it's necessary. But people tend to avoid those, so they tend to focus more on those tricks. Well, here's the big issue I have. If you have a foundation that is heavily involved with tricks, and that is your dog's go-to. So think about, like right now, with a lot of people with their dogs, what does your dog do when you grab a treat? Most dogs just automatically sit down. Well, why do they sit? Well, they sit because that was literally probably one of the first things you did with your dog, right? You had your dog sit, and then you gave him a treat. A lot of dogs don't automatically down unless it was something that you just absolutely just like worked on and focused on more than anything. Your dog goes back to what works. Your dog goes back to the foundation. That foundation is typically sit. However, dogs are quick then, if that doesn't work, to resort to another foundation. So a good thing would be maybe laying down. The problem is, though, is if you teach tricks too soon, those when the initial sit foundation, the initial response of like a sit doesn't work, then the dog goes to pawing at you. Now, maybe you're like, well, I just taught it to shake. Well, shake turns into pawing on your leg, pawing for attention, because it probably will work. And if that doesn't work, then they'll try rolling over, or they'll try barking. And these become basically kind of annoying habits that your dog has formed, but it's formed because of your early training and foundation of tricks. So my advice when it comes to training your dog is stick to the basic foundation stuff, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Stick to the foundation, the important things, and hold off on the tricks. Have that be something that they learn later. Like, I'm not opposed to teaching my own dog tricks. Heck, our Basset Hound had tricks, and we had him. Our previous Malinois had a ton of tricks. He knew how to crawl. He knew how to wave. He knew how to bark on command. He could roll over. He could do a lot of these tricks. But it was something we introduced to him when he was almost, I want to say he was a year and a half, maybe 2, when we really started to focus on teaching him these fun tricks. And that was because we wanted to wait and make sure we had just a rock star foundation of really good obedience before introducing these tricks. Now, you might be like, well, if you're mixing it all, isn't it okay? The problem is too, like I mentioned before, is sits are kind of boring. I mean, sits are exciting to a dog because they get treats. But what's more fun for a dog is to roll over. What's more fun for a dog is to paw at you or to shake or to bark, because those are responses that your dog is doing that is just enjoyable to them. So again, even though you have a good sit foundation, you're going to run into issues where the dog is going to offer the more fun foundation pieces, like the bark, like the rolling over, or like the shaking, or any of those tricks. So it becomes difficult to manage and deal with. And plus, it's just creating bad habits. Like, I don't want a dog to bark at me for attention. That becomes really annoying. I don't want a dog that comes up and starts pawing at my legs, scratching my legs, because if they do it to the wrong person, you're damaging their clothes, their skin, whatever, and it's just inappropriate. And we run into a lot of people who have that issue. Or if you're just trying to work with your dog, like if you're just like, okay, I'm going to train you, and you tell your dog to sit, and immediately what your dog does is start to throw a paws out and do stuff when you're actually trying to work on like a sit stay, or working on trying to teach him a down or something like that. Now all of a sudden your dog is offering these other behaviors. Like if you teach a rollover and then you tell your dog to down, like you want to do a down stay or something, and your dog immediately goes to a down and rolls over. It's almost like they just can't think. They're like, okay, I know what happens, because that's their foundation. So hold off till the dog is well into their foundation training and have a good idea or understanding of it, because I think it's super, super important. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. So now when I'm talking about real foundation, here's what I mean by real foundation. Here's what you need to focus on with your young dogs to, I think, have it be as successful as possible. You need to work on building things that you can put into your toolbox to help you later. So obviously leash manners, that's a good one. Make sure the dog doesn't think it can just pull all over on leash. It's a hard one, but it's a good one. Teaching your dog a sit or a down. I think a sit, especially because sits are easy to teach and easy for a dog to do. And it's such a great thing to tell your dog to do in replacement for something that you don't like. Like when you grab the dog's leash to go outside for a walk, your dog starts jumping all over you. Well, if you start replacing that jumping with the foundation of a sit, your dog will probably be more likely to then resort back to that faster, because it's something that already they know and it's a good thing. So that's important, to just add a sit or something. I think sit's easy to train, and I think sometimes it might be just underused because it's so basic, but it's so important. So a good sit and down, I think, is the foundation. Recalls. Oh my God, recalls. Foundation recalls. I mean, that is so critical. If you aren't working on come with your dog at a young age, you are missing out. Not only because let's say you get an 8-week-old puppy, that puppy wants to follow you everywhere. And then it gets to a point as it starts to mature and get older where it goes, well, now I want to explore. And this is a natural thing for puppies to go through. Now I want to explore. So I'm going to start to venture away from you and check other things out. Well, if you don't take advantage of that young age, that like 8 weeks, I'm not even kidding you, like 8, 9 weeks old, 10 weeks old, whatever, when that puppy just wants to hang out and follow you around because they're not sure about stuff, that's when you need to be building that recall. Come, get a treat, good job. Come, get a treat, good job. So that when the dog starts to go, well, I want to explore, that come is already in place, and you can call that dog back to you, and that dog thinks it's great. Like our dog, we literally did this with him. The second he came to us, he wanted to follow us around, and we just rewarded that and built it and turned it into something that went beyond just that little puppy stage. And when he started getting into wanting to explore things, he would go explore, but that foundation recall was already there. And our dog was just like, yeah, I want to come back to you. Of course I do. It's what I do. Like, they don't know anything different, right? So I think that recall is crazy, crazy, crazy important to do. And all this you want to keep positive. Like, you don't want to have bad foundation training where it's like the dog's afraid to come to you because you corrected the dog inappropriately or something. Like, this all should be really positive and fun. The foundation should be clear, should be rewarding, should be exciting, but it's stuff to work on. So like I said, I think the main ones, and we'll jump into a couple more, but the main ones is your sits, your downs, your recalls or come, and then some leash work, just getting them to understand the leash doesn't mean bite on it. Leash doesn't mean pull. It means just hang out with me at the very least, even if you can't heel yet. You can get healing later, but working on proper just hanging out with me leash skills is really important, because and this is something that happens a lot too, is if the dog, and because it's a puppy, it gets away with this stuff, thinks that pulling on a leash is always acceptable and pulling on a leash gets them places, what ends up happening is when you then decide to go, okay, you know what, I'm not going to let you pull on leash anymore, it almost becomes a frustration, and the dog starts to want to bark or lunge or try harder and get not nervous, but get like stimulated or stressed and just start becoming vocal. It's the same as you see some of these dogs when you're walking on the street and the dog sees you with your dog and starts to bark and pull and just seems really frustrated, doesn't seem aggressive, but just is so intense. It's because it's not allowed to pull like it's been doing before, and it's almost like not a barrier aggression, but just a barrier overstimulation. They're like, I can't get to you, crap, oh my God, ah. And it's because they didn't work on that leash stuff early. Teaching them, like, look, being on a tight leash is not desired. It's not something you should want to do. If it's on a tight leash, you need to stop. If you're on a loose leash, you're going to get rewarded and praised, and life is going to be freaking awesome. So I want you to kind of think about that as well, how you can do little things with that. Obviously, getting into classes and doing stuff. Early foundation, I think, is also partly like getting into classes, proper socialization. Again, socialization is important, and I've done episodes, I believe, on this already. Socialization is super important, but proper socialization is even more important. And when I say proper, I mean not letting the dog go see every dog all the time. Teaching the dog to be well-mannered while around a bunch of people and not think that everyone's there for them to see them. That foundation is really important, because as your dog, as a lot of people know, as your dog gets older, they also get bigger. And as they get bigger, they also get stronger. And as they get stronger, they also maybe get a little more stubborn, and they just become harder to try and control, especially when they get stimulated. So even though your puppy has a short attention span, I think it's an opportunity that could be wasted to not work on this stuff. So taking your puppy places for socializing, I think early on, to build that foundation of like, yeah, there's all this really interesting, stimulating stuff out here, but I'm still high value. I'm awesome. Here's a bunch of cool treats. Let's just hang out together in this chaos, and it'll be great. So that's just another one to keep in mind. Your stays and waits, I do think there is value to that, especially a wait, just because you can utilize it coming out of their kennel, going outside, feeding times, different things like that. You can definitely utilize it. I would actually surprisingly probably say it's a little bit, to me, it's an important foundation, but it's not a critical foundation. I think your recalls and your sits and leash work, I think those are very kind of critical, important things to be focusing on. So that's kind of it, guys, for this podcast. For this week's episode. It's short and sweet. Get them out and do your foundation training. So like your sits, your downs. Work on their name too. I should probably put that in there. Work on their name, making sure they understand that. A lot of the basic stuff. But try to refrain. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. Refrain from teaching your dog tricks this early on. You don't want that to be a default. If your dog defaults to tricks, it tends to become very annoying. And especially if the tricks are something like barking or shaking, where the dog constantly thinks it's okay or rewarding to paw at you, it just becomes an absolute pain in the butt. So hold off on doing those tricks. I know it's super fun, guys, and I know it's really fun to see the dogs doing these things, and the dogs enjoy it, but just wait. Wait until they're a little older and just focus on that. Focus on the task of creating a just rock star foundation for your dog. You can have fun with your dog, still playing with your dog and doing all these things, of course, but just hold off on the funny little tricks. Save those for later. So hopefully, guys, that was informational for you. Hopefully it just kind of gets you thinking about maybe things you're doing with your dog now, or things you were thinking about doing with your dog down the road, and going, well, maybe I should hold off on teaching these tricks because my dog doesn't heel good on leash, or my dog doesn't do certain things. Maybe I need to focus on those things first before the fun things, right? Work before pleasure, right? So it's kind of like that. So anyways, like I mentioned before, check out ondogtrainingacademy.com, and you can check out our new course, Welcome Home, which will be all about getting a new dog, what to expect, what to work on, and things to consider. And hopefully, guys, that is something that you will find useful. Launches November 1st, but you can pre-buy now for a discount, and I would definitely suggest pre-buying now for that discount because, it's a discount. Why wouldn't you? So jump on that now while you got the chance. I'll put a link to all that in the description of this podcast, so definitely check it out. And jump on Facebook. Tell me what you guys want me to talk about. Give me more ideas. Like I said, I got a ton of them, but I really want to be here for you guys. So tell me what you'd like me to talk about. I got a few more in the bank here that I'm working on that some other people have reached out to me to ask me to talk about. So I will definitely consider getting those going here soon. But that is it, guys. So get out, train your dogs, work on that foundation, stop doing those tricks. Not yet. Hold on. And then when you guys feel ready, then you start teaching those tricks. Make sure that foundation is awesome. But guys, like always, we'll see you next week.